Hello Internet, I am the artist mostly referred to as Zelda539, and this is a cabinet of the strange and macabre. Usually on this here channel we talk about fun stuff like old movies or weird internet pseudoscience or urban exploring. Today, however, we will be leaving all that fun stuff behind for a day to talk about the Orwellian nightmare that our current society is apparently about to become, at least according to some sources. If you have any interest in our current scandals of the day and don't live under a rock or something, you might have heard about the whole data scandal that's going on with Facebook at the moment. When I first heard about the whole thing, I was unimpressed to say it at least. Facebook selling our data? Don't you fucking say. Then, however, people started suspecting that something more sinister was going on behind the scenes, and first I didn't really listen, because these days, behind everything there seems to be some sort of evil government cabal or conspiracy of the rich. But what should I say, this time people might be right. About a week ago, a friend of mine told me to check out a video by the YouTube channel crashcourse.com. Since the video is in German, I won't be playing it for you here, but in case you want to check it out yourself, I'll leave a link to it in the description. In the video, German stockbroker and author Dirk Miller gives his opinion on the whole Facebook scandal and presents us with a quite disturbing theory of what might truly be behind the whole thing. He basically argues that analyzing and selling user data has been the norm for many software companies for years, and especially small companies depend on the profit they can make with the user data gathered with every time someone uses their website or app. Facebook, of course, is no exception in doing so, and the scandal at the moment mostly revolved around them selling user data to third parties without consent of the users. At this point in the story you might think, what? Zuckerberg's a dick? Tell me something new. But I wouldn't be making this video if this was all there is to it, would I? And of course there's more shady shit going on behind the scenes. There are three main claims to Miller's theory. The first one being that in light of the recent scandal, people will push for a new law making it illegal for companies to sell user data to third parties. This, however, according to him, wouldn't mean that the companies couldn't analyze the data they have collected themselves, effectively making big companies like Facebook with a user base of millions more or less unaffected by the whole thing, while for small startups making money with user data will be more or less off the table. So, is this whole thing just a big scheme for Facebook to eliminate some competition? Pretty much, if Miller is right about what he's saying, yes. I am no economical expert in any capacity, but I can clearly see how a law which would make it illegal to sell user data away from the company, making it pretty much a thing between the company and the user who has agreed to the terms of service, would be pretty favorable towards big companies like Facebook with millions upon millions of users, who pretty much give away their data to the bloody thing on their own volition anyway. But this isn't simply a story about capitalism spawning something immoral. I mean, if that would warrant a video, I'd be busy all year. No, in this case, there is something more to the whole thing. Something that could concern us all in the future. You see, the second concerning thing Miller mentioned in his video is a small little document some nice people from Silicon Valley dropped off at the last annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. Now, first things first, the document itself, at least from what I could tell after skimming through it quickly, doesn't even mention Facebook itself really, and doesn't involve the name Mark Zuckerberg at any point, although it explicitly mentions Google at multiple occasions. So after doing my initial research, I was kind of confused about the connection that Miller sees between Facebook of all things and the known traveler document. The main connections he sees seem to be that for once the Facebook data scandal seems to overshadow the publication of the document in all news outlets and serves as a pretty good distraction for the media. On the other hand, what's in the document does very well concern our user data and what's called our digital identity, because what is proposed in the known traveler document is to put our digital identities to use for international border control and security. Sounds creepy? Thought so. According to Miller, Facebook, Google and friends have proposed to use all the user data they collect in combination with their advanced AIs to, as the document puts it, unlock the potential of digital identity for secure and seamless travel. This might not sound that creepy on paper, but the picture Dirk Miller paints is another one. Apparently, Google's and Facebook's AIs are claimed to be that advanced that they can, simply from your Facebook likes or Google search results, assess your own personality better than you can yourself. And that apparently isn't all. Since the endgame of the whole thing seems to be that one day, instead of using a passport to cross a border and enter another country, your digital identity will be used to verify that you're not an anarchist, terrorist, drug dealer or something. So, yeah, this is a part of the video where you should start to feel creeped out and maybe wonder why you haven't heard about the whole thing. Well, Miller has an answer for that too. According to him, most news outlets, or at least the German ones, didn't really cover the proceedings at the World Economic Forums at all. And that was the part of the video that originally seemed a bit iffy to me, because usually when somebody on the internet says that something isn't covered by the media, that just means isn't on the front page. But in this case, after some research, it appears that Miller is right once more. While the 44-page document titled The Known Traveler is readily available on the homepage of the World Economic Forum, it seems that no major news outlet has run a big story on the thing so far, and even a YouTube search for The Known Traveler produced only 5 relevant results, including the video I am using as my source right now, and a re-upload of the same thing by a channel called Banana Republic. The friend who originally sent me the video said the same, and it seems to be true, and that's what really is kind of creepy to me. I mean, I don't watch the news religiously, but I'm not an uninformed person either, and neither the news app on my phone nor any major online news outlets seem to really cover the whole thing. By the time I'm recording this, the crashcourse.com video I was referring to earlier is already about a month old, and by now some online publications seem to have picked up on the whole thing, and when switching from German to English Google, I found that there actually are some articles about the whole thing, and there's already a WikiHow page on how to get your own known traveler number, which apparently you will need pretty soon to enter Canada, I think. Now, originally this was going to be the part of the video where I would read the document and then highlight some important parts and read them to you. In fact, I even have opened the document on the page where you can read it in the background while I'm recording this. But I'm afraid the people who wrote it don't really want me to read it to you, because listen to this, the following are the only few lines out of the document you are going to hear from me, and they are the copyright disclaimer. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any means including photocopy and recording or by any information storage and retrieval system. What a bunch of nice progress-oriented people. This in no way screams, hey, we're a bunch of evil oligarchs, right? All proposals for projects for the greater good of humanity should have a big ominous legal disclaimer right next to the fucking table of contents, right? So yeah, that's all I can show you of this document without fearing some weird copyright troubles. And I hope this isn't already enough to get me in trouble, so I guess if this video gets suddenly taken down due to some nebulous copyright strike from Google or something, you'll all at least know why. As mentioned earlier, however, the whole document is available online for you to read by yourselves, and since I got the link to it from the description of a YouTube video, I think nobody can stop me from sharing the link with you in the description. This, however, doesn't mean that there's nothing I can read to you, because, as luck has it, while doing some further research hoping to confirm the predictions of Müller's video, I found another German YouTuber discussing the topic. A link to that video will of course once more be in the description to this one. While I won't go into too much detail about the video itself, in its description I found a link to another article, this time by Norbert Hering, a German economist and business journalist. The article is of course once more written in German, so for the ones amongst you who know that language, I will link the article in the description amongst all the other shit I have already said I would link there. But in case German is not your cup of tea, I have read the article for you and will paraphrase the most important points right now. The article's title, translated in English, would read: "The World Economical Forum makes a totalitarian horror vision reality." That gives us a pretty good summary of the writer's opinion on the whole matter, but in the article we finally get some information about how the whole procedure is supposed to work. There apparently are two main factors to the whole thing. For once, biometric identification, which is used more and more these days for all kinds of purposes and is partially already integrated into many new smartphones. The article mentions that likely a part of the known Traveler program will include your smartphone being biometrically locked to your person, or at least the application, which according to the article is the other big part of the project. That application will be downloaded by the user and then fed with information like a scan of the user's passport, maybe some fingerprints as I would imagine, and a lot of personal data. Hotel and rental car reservations, bank data, your medical data, as well as information from government institutions like universities are only some amongst the examples listed in the article by Herring. With all that data and information, a profile is created on the application, which then can be used instead of a passport when crossing a border. The interesting information that the Norbert Herring article mentions about the whole system is that it could be implemented pretty soon, and it was designed with the citizens as the owners of their own personal data in mind, to come full circle back to the Facebook scandal thing I was talking about in the beginning of the video. This, however, as Herring argues, will in no way mean that you will be really free to give away your data when crossing a border or not, because not only will the people using the app most definitely get a preferential treatment, which will consist of at least getting over the border faster than people without the app, the entire thing is also framed as a cooperation between the traveler and the government, in which the traveler becomes the active part in showing that they are not a threat. I mean, let that sink in. On one hand, we are trying to move together as a global society, but on the other hand, if you are a person traveling to another country, apparently the default position the government has towards you is distrust. You're a threat until you have shown us by your own choice that you are not one. Because that's what we need between people, distrust. And if Norbert Herring is right about the things that he's saying, then this isn't even where the creepiness really ends. Another thing mentioned in passing in the article is that apparently, according to the document, even if you're a registered user and you step up to the counter on your own volition, as someone who's not a threat to national security would of course do, the border personnel has still the rights reserved to ask you some more follow-up questions. What does it mean exactly? The article doesn't really specify, and as I said before, I can't really show you anything from the document, so I don't know how much of it I will really read myself. But yeah, this sounds pretty creepy, just saying. And you know what? That's still not all. What I am going to leave you with is that according to Herring, while the system of digital identity for the moment will only be used for international travel, it is supposed to be slowly implemented in all sorts of different areas of life. For example, banking or education. In short, if this trend continues, soon we will be able to do jack shit without waving our smartphones up and down in front of some government drone who is supposed to make sure that we didn't post any old speak on some social media or something. I don't know, for me this truly sounds like the Orwellian nightmare, which I was promised when I was originally made aware of this topic. And such a big important technological breakthrough is found nowhere in the news, while everybody is going apeshit about the whole Facebook scandal thing. I don't know why, but somehow I can understand Dirk Miller by now. With that, I guess that's it for now with our little dive into the electronic surveillance rabbit hole. I think I might actually have a look through the whole document myself if I find the time to, and maybe I'll even do a follow-up video to this after gaining an understanding of all those fancy technology terms and pretty infographics. Until then, you can find the links to all the articles used in the making of this video, as well as the document itself, in the description. And as I mentioned before, I urge you strongly to check it out for yourself, because this stuff is pretty damn interesting. With that, this has been the Cabinet of the Strange and Macabre. I am the artist mostly referred to as Zelda539, and I am gonna go throw my smartphone into a river and move into the forest now. Goodbye.